Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today's an exciting day. Ripple's doing their XRP community live spaces on X today, and so I've been in there listening to that. Brad Garlinghouse started it off. I'll show you some of the things he said, and then I'll go over that in a minute. First, I want to remind you, Brad Garlinghouse is going to be on stage, as well as Cody Carbone, President of Digital Chamber, Honorable Chris Giancarlo, the Digital Dollar Project, Simon McLaughlin, CEO of Uphold, Kevin Maloney, CEO of iTrustCapital, and there's going to be a lot more announcements coming. But we know now that Brad Garlinghouse will be on stage being for a fireside chat with Dr. Chris Brummer from Georgetown Law, who does DC FinTech Week. You can go to xrplasvegas.com. Link is in the description of this video if you forget. The market has come up a little bit today. XRP is hanging out right there at $3.16. It's up 7.7% on the 24 hours. Now check this out. This is what I'm looking forward to. At 2:30 Eastern Time, Stuart Alderati is going to be on the XRP community thing on the live spaces. Regulatory landscape. The Americas session will begin with Stu Alderati, Ripple's chief legal officer, discussing the U.S. crypto regulatory outlook under the Trump administration, Congress, and updates on Ripple's SEC lawsuit hosted by VET. The session will include live Q&A addressing community questions. And so this right here, now, to be honest, I don't think that the case is gonna. I don't think he's gonna announce that the case is dismissed. I have a feeling that the incoming SEC chairman I think he still has to go through his confirmation hearings. My gut tells me that they're going to wait and let that be his trophy to settle the case or dismiss it. But I could be wrong. He could announce it today. Let's hope he does. Okay. This was one of the things that Brad Garlinghouse said that was a very interesting comment. We, Ripple Custody, signed HSBC last year. That's a huge piece of news. Okay, let's start here with, this is Brad Garlinghouse in that space.
As a reminder, XRP is the native token on the XRP ledger. It's required for gas, reserves, accounts ledger, but simply put, XRP is needed to use the XRP ledger. For Ripple and how we use it in our go-to-market as a cross-border payments, we use it as a bridge asset. It's very, very, very fast and nearly free for kind of per transaction basis. And we use it globally, and where currency conversions are less popular, if there's less liquidity, and that way it can complement a stable coin. So moving to the other side, Ripple has used stablecoins for years, and we were using Tether, we were using USDC. And, as time went by, we kind of asked ourselves, well, given how we, at one point, we said publicly, we were minting 20% of all USDC. And so we kind of asked ourselves, well, wait a minute, could we participate in this market? And I think, while we probably will still use other technologies at various points, I think we felt like there's a real role for us to play here. And look, stablecoins are required for on-chain payments. And as more and more assets get tokenized on the XRP ledger, I think stablecoins are going to be required. And that's partly evidenced even by the Ondo announcement from earlier today.
Remember when the XRP self-loathers, while the market was down, were trying to convince you that they were going to abandon XRP? In your face, self-loathers. Okay, now I'm going to try to prevent any overlap, but there may be some. This is another clip from Brad Garlinghouse that Good Morning Crypto had put out.
And how has that evolved today?
So, it is, coming up on my 10-year anniversary, and by coincidence, I had breakfast this morning with the gentleman who ran engineering in the earliest days of Ripple, a guy named Chris Kannan, who's an all-star. We spent some time reminiscing. And look, for me, joining Ripple, I think a lot of people want to be a part of putting their own dent in the universe and whatever that looks like. It's a kind of quote from Steve Jobs years back. And the vision behind Ripple, and first meeting with Chris Larson, one of our co-founders, the vision around an internet of value is it resonated with me deeply. And, it was one of these things where you're like, okay, this makes sense. It makes the world a better place. And the challenge is, of course, when you talk about these big, impactful visions is where do you start? Like, how do you get step one? And I've used the comparison of, every marathon, takes a first step. And the challenge is getting the momentum moving in the right direction. And I think one thing I talked about over breakfast is the momentum now is stronger than it's ever been. And I think Ripple, as well as the XRP community, is in a stronger place than we've ever been. I think everybody has felt the frustration, and I certainly chief amongst them, of the headwinds. But, look, from a whole bunch of different ways, I find that we're in this just unbelievable, powerful spot now, and 2025 really could be an amazing year. And I mean that. We talked yesterday about some of the new licenses we have. We have obviously invested a lot globally in licensing. We have over 60 licenses around the world. We've talked, we're very focused in 2025 on some of the real world asset tokenization. We announced Ripple and Ondo Finance are working together around tokenized US treasuries and bringing those to the XRP ledger. I just think that, again, back to my macro point, people are still underestimating how, when the largest economy in the world shifts from negative to positive, how that's going to change some of these things. And, through a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill, Ripple finds ourselves in a really good position in that regard. And I think that certainly is catalyzing and positive for the whole XRP community.
Wow.
All right. Now, let's, I'm going to come back to this one. There was somebody, I think that at one point he specifically said he met with Trump. Let me see if anybody, I'm trying to find it here before I get out of place. Well, let's go to here and see which part Brad Combs picked up.
Bachiri, who are going to kick things off with a look at recent XRPL milestones, stablecoin. Over to you, Brad.
Hi, David. How are you? Down this way. By the way, Marcus, thank you for...
Fantastic to get this conversation started. We had a previous conversation last year. It was at the Paris Blockchain Week in April. Cap of 20...
Yeah, I've been at Ripple almost 10 years now. Such a reason. Confirmed yet. He hasn't commented much, but I think many people so far, he hasn't been confirmed yet. Career, appointing Paul Atkins as head of the SEC. I think Paul has so far, he hasn't been confirmed yet. He hasn't commented much, but I think many people who know him and have known his points of view about the cases the SEC has brought against Ripple and others, that I think it really will be a sea change. What I think truly, I feel like, has been an unlawful war on crypto. I doubt there will be accountability for some of that, but I can always be hopeful. I will just say, as a random comment on this, I was in Washington for the inauguration, as some people saw, and I went to the crypto ball. And one of the people that was at the crypto ball was Bill Hinman. And I thought, okay, wait, this is the guy who architected the war on crypto, and he's at the crypto ball. I was quite startled by it. But look, there was an uneven play.
A little birdie told me that Hinman went running the other way when he saw those guys.
Playing field, and that has been reset. It is being reset in real time, and I think seeing XRP back in the top 3 in terms of market cap certainly is a manifestation of that. But many on this call will recall that at one point XRP was the second most valuable, and so it's frustrating to look back and to see how the SEC manipulated those outcomes. But I think that's behind us, and so if I'm recapping 2024, I'll start with that's a really big shift. A couple others that I'll just highlight that I'm very excited about and maybe gets under reported on or less attention. The AMM, the automated market maker on the XRPL, went live in 2024 and it has now done over $1 billion in swap volume. Just this year, it's averaging about $17 million per day. So it's done this year in just January, it's done over $400 million. So I think having an efficient AMM on XRPL, I think is a really big deal to make the embedded DEX successful. Other things for Ripple, I'll just comment real quickly. We obviously launched Ripple RLUSD right at the end of the year. It's still early days, but very excited about. We've talked publicly about some of the reasons why we did that. The Ripple Custody Group has signed we signed HSBC last year.
Boom.
You're seeing, and I think people still undercount how the headwinds are shifting to tailwinds when you see the HSBCs of the world acknowledging that they need a solution around custody even for their customers as well. And the last thing I'll comment on that I think was a big deal for the XRP community in 2024 is getting the ETF filings. You saw Bitwise, WisdomTree, Canary, 21 Shares, new ones from CoinShares, ProShare. It just, again, back to the winds have changed. I think some people probably saw there's a JP Morgan report suggesting that, with the XRP ETFs, once they're live, that we'll see somewhere around $8 billion of capital inflows. And, I'm an optimist. I admit that served me well in life. And I think in some ways we may exceed that handily as we look at what happens in 2024. So I will stop there as a recap and back over to you, David.
Definitely a good overview of 2024.
That's pretty exciting right there. He thinks it'll exceed 8 billion handily. Oh man, it's going to be a wild year, folks. Okay, in DAIXRP.com, I got a lot more. Plus, there's some other things interesting that were said in that spaces, and I'm going to cover one of those. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.